Hi everybody, welcome back to our professional development webinar series brought to you by Ave Maria Press. Our goal in this series is to provide parish staff, volunteers, and diocesan ministers the formation, training, and the tools that they need to create vibrant Catholic parishes and growing ministries. Today's webinar, Families of Mercy, 10 Practical Ways to Get Families Excited During the Year of Mercy. Authors Michele Faehnle and Emily Jaminet will do a deep dive into the Year of Mercy and help us to see how we can reach parents and families during this significant Jubilee year. My name is Jared Dees. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager. I'll be moderating this webinar. Before we begin, I also want to say thank you and recognize our webinar partners, the National Conference for Catechetical Leadership, the National Association for Lay Ministry, and the National Federation of Priest Councils. Once again, you may ask questions, and the questions will be offered to our presenters towards the end of the presentation today. If you want to locate right now the questions section of the GoToWebinar panel, you can see it also displayed on your screen here. I'd also like to note this webinar is being recorded, and we'll send a recording out to you later this week, so watch your email inboxes. So with that, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our presenters today. Michele holds a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from Franciscan University of Steubenville. After 12 years as a labor and delivery nurse, she left nursing to be home with her growing family and answer the call of the new evangelization. Emily shares her passion for authentic Catholic motherhood daily on Monday through Friday at 2:58 p.m. on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, AM 820. Her short minute-and-a-half reflections, A Mother's Moment, are written for all Catholic moms who need a bit of formation and encouragement as they strive to live out the joys and challenges of Catholic motherhood each day. And the two of them together are the authors of the new best-selling book, Divine Mercy for Moms. Just came out, and it's already made a huge hit with moms throughout the U.S., throughout the world. And we're so grateful to have you, Michele, and you, Emily, here with us today.
Well, thanks for having us.
We're really excited to be here today.
Well, I'm going to hand over controls to you so you can show your screen and show your slides.
Okay, is it going?
Yep, click that play button. You should be good to go.
All right, great. Well, hello, everyone. Getting this going here.
That was Michele.
Yeah, this is Michele Faehnle.
And I'm Emily Jaminet, so you can get used to our voices. Thanks again for coming. We are really excited about our topic today, Families of Mercy, 10 practical ways to get families excited during the Year of Mercy. And as Jared mentioned, we're the authors of the new book, Divine Mercy for Moms, sharing the lessons of St. Faustina. And one thing Michele and I are, we are moms. I just had my 7th, and Michele has 4 children. So for us to be here at 3 o'clock is really special. And we're very active both in our parishes, and we feel like this is a great topic for us to really help inspire you to have a great Year of Mercy.
Yes, and I just want to apologize in advance if anything pops up on the screen. I just have a new computer since I dumped some water on my laptop. So all my texts and things, my husband has it set up to come on my computer, and I can't turn it off. So if you see something funny, I'll slide it off real quick. But if you're wondering why I have might have a little extra thing on my screen, that's what that was. So we are going to get started here, and we're going to just give you some quick Year of Mercy basics to start off, because we found as we've been going around speaking about our book that people like the Year of Mercy is kind of a buzzword. People all know that it's the Year of Mercy, but people don't really know what to do, or they're just really overwhelmed. Like, I don't know, do I just go buy a bunch of books? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing during the Year of Mercy, because they just feel like I've got a lot on my plate already. I don't know, do I need one more thing? I just need this to be easy. But we know this is a great year, and it's an opportunity for grace and transformation. So we came up with these ideas of 10 ways that are both faith-forming and service-related ideas that to help families to incorporate the Year of Mercy into their life, because we know that through the family, that living out this Year of Mercy, that it can bring so many graces and so many blessings to your family. But it also has to be easy for families, and just as simple, they need to know what to do and when to do it. So we've done a lot of things at our Catholic schools. Emily and I both chair our schools' Catholic identity committees, and we both help with our Diocesan Catholic Women's Conference. So these are all things that we're involved in, and all things we've learned from experience to help families get tapped into living out the works of mercy. So we'll just the basic, Year of Mercy basics. We know it started December 8th, and it closes on the Feast of Christ the King, November 20th in 2016. But we want to encourage and let people know that this is really not about just this year either. It's about living out a full year of mercy. This is like the kickoff, right? It's just the kickoff for us to get going into living lives of mercy. And then Pope Francis is, of course, the instigator of all this and has brought forth this idea of the Year of Mercy and living out mercy, and his papal bull is something that we've spent a lot of time reading, and we focused a little bit on it in our book, but we have found that not many people know what this is. When we go out speaking, we mention it, and the women kind of look at us like, what are you talking about? So we want to share a little quote from the papal bull with you, and also a little bit about how you can bring this into your parish life.
So Pope Francis writes, "It's my burning desire that during this Jubilee, the Christian people may reflect on the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. It will be a way to reawaken our conscience, too often growing dull in the face of poverty, and let us enter more deeply into the heart of the gospel, where the poor have a special experience of God's mercy. Jesus introduces us to these works of mercy in his preaching so that we can know whether or not we are living as his disciples. We cannot escape the Lord's words to us, and they will serve as our criteria upon which we will be judged." So we think that quote is really essential. And I wanted to just comment on one other quote from the papal bull, and that is that it says, "Mercy is the very foundation of the Church's life. All of her pastoral activities should be caught up in this tenderness she makes present to her believers. Nothing in her preaching and in her witness and in the world can be lacking in mercy. The Church's very credibility is seen in how she shows merciful and compassionate love." So these quotes are just very inspiring. They inspired us in the very beginning of writing our book. Before we actually knew there was going to be a Year of Mercy, we felt like combining the corporal and spiritual works of mercy and divine mercy were essential, and really helping people see that it's not just about what we do, the programming we provide within the parish life, within the community, but it's how we do it, the tenderness, the love, the mercy given to others. And as Catholics, our goal is to bring people together and strengthen community versus break people down and put them in little boxes and really limit the gospel, because oftentimes we are the ones who limit the gospel.
And we wanted to share, Emily wrote a nice piece on our website. It's a whole Year of Mercy complete guide, and she took a lot of quotes from the papal bull and all the main topics in the papal bull and kind of broke it down so it's easier to understand. We call it, we momicized it, we made it for moms. So that's available right on our website, and it's something, if you can use something, break it up into little bits and pieces. We've even resent out, we've sectioned it out, resent out bits and pieces, paragraphs at a time. It's a great little catechetical tool that we hope you can find of some help. So we're going to go into the works of mercy now, because that is, part of what Pope Francis has really asked us to work on during the Year of Mercy, and also especially, I know it's still Lent, and he asked for people to really do concrete acts of mercy. So there are 14 works of mercy, 7 corporal, which are, we know are based on the bodily needs, and then there's the 7 spiritual, which are based on the needs of the soul. And we trace those all the way back to the Gospel of Matthew in 25:34 through 40. "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. A stranger and you welcomed me. Naked and you clothed me. Ill and you cared for me. And in prison and you visited me." So the Church has them broken down into these 2 lists, the corporal works of mercy and the spiritual works of mercy. And what Emily and I like to say is, take time to look at these lists and think of who did these for you in your life. Because as we really reflect on mercy, we realize it's a circle. And there are times in our life when we receive mercy, and there are times in our life when we give mercy. And then we can live out this life of mercy. So by looking through this list, think of times that you were given mercy through these acts, And I shared in the book one of the reasons I really was compelled to write Divine Mercy for Moms is that my son, he's now 12 and perfectly healthy, but 4 years ago when he was in 2nd grade, he got really sick with a rare disease called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and he was essentially paralyzed from the chest down over a few days' time, and we had no idea initially even what was causing this or how he could have even got this. But to go from a perfectly normal little 8-year-old boy to one he couldn't walk, he couldn't even talk because it had gone up into his vocal cords, he couldn't use his arms, he couldn't feed himself, he couldn't do anything for himself. And so my husband and I basically had to move into the hospital with him for 35 days and 35 nights. We had 2 other children at the time, so the 6-month stayed with us. 6-month-old stayed with us at the hospital, but my daughter was in kindergarten, so we had to farm her out. And literally, we were showered with mercy for the entire time we were in the hospital, because people brought us all of our meals. People came and spent a lot of time with us, visiting us at the hospitals. People made cards. People brought us, it was over Christmas, people brought us a Christmas tree. His class decorated the Christmas tree for him. They made videos. They came in and played with Jacob. They brought remote control helicopters. They brought toys. There was one of our favorite memories is 2 little twins that came every single week and played board games with Jacob after school. So it was really so touching for people to reach out in this way, and so many people from our parish that we didn't hardly even know, or there were some parents that brought their kids that I had never met the parents in my son's class because maybe they had a daughter or they were new, and they came up to visit Jacob. So this was so touching to me, and I realized that sometimes I wasn't always such a good giver of mercy myself, because it's one of those things, a lot of times we hear about something that's going on with someone and we say, gosh, that is awful, that's terrible, and I need to do something, but my arms never moved forward to doing anything. So part of being merciful is being both the heart and the arms. And the heart is where we feel that compassion for people who are going through something, and then we have the arms to move forward and to relieve that suffering in some way. So this whole next portion is going to be 10 ways that are spiritual yet community events that can build your family up and build your parish up. And people are asking, we're finding they're asking me for service activities for their kids. I know people are busy, but they're not going to go drive down the soup kitchen themselves, I found. They need you to do something through the parish that they can tap into. So this has been something that, these are all ideas that we've either participated in or participate in our parish that have been really successful, and we've really brought fruit forth, and people have really gave testament to that. It was a great work of mercy for them.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the first one, and this is one of our favorite. It's under feeding the hungry and giving drink to the thirsty, and that we call this our mercy jar. So this, right on our website, we have these Divine Mercy for Moms, a year mercy label. It's an actual label that you can either just print off and tape onto a mason jar, or we get them printed off onto labels and put them on mason jars, and we either give them away or it makes for an easy craft. And we give, part of writing a book about the corporal and spiritual works of mercy is that we wanted the book to actually be a living mercy, a part of the works of mercy. So we give a portion of our proceeds to a organization called Mary's Meals, and you can see right there it's marysmealsusa.org, and they are an amazing organization. We're excited that they're going to be speaking at our Columbus Women's Conference in February coming up 2017. And Magnus McFarlane is from Scotland, and he basically was overwhelmed by the problems of the world, and he came up with this solution of providing a hot meal for children in 12 different countries, on average for 10 cents a meal. So it's very doable to contribute, and it's wonderful in getting into different organizations. Right in Columbus, we have it in, our Cub Scouts put a Mary's Meals jars and contribute 10 cents before their meetings. We've done it before Easter. We've used it as a way in which the kids, contribute during Lent in the Catholic schools. We have homeschool groups loving it. We have whole parishes using it. And the idea is that you're collecting the money out of your excess, so you're making sacrifices, and you're teaching your children the value of money along with contributing to a better cause, because they're feeding these children for 10 cents a meal, and it's a hot meal. And the way that the vision is that the school is already established, and they place a kitchen right next to it, and the local women of the community do the cooking. It's just a wonderful organization to pair up with. And this is a very simple idea. We've already done the work for you right under Mary's Meals on our website.
And this is a sample letter. We have several parishes that have adopted this idea from us, and this is one parish here in town that they sent this letter home with all the school children, and then with all, after Mass, they handed this out and they stapled the label right onto it. And they gave ideas of just ways, we want people to realize, to make a small sacrifice to give to Mary's Meal. So they put right on the paper, 5 ways that you can make this sacrifice, like skip through the drive-thru at Wendy's this Lent, eat peanut butter and jelly at home instead, give the 20 to feed a malnourished child for an entire school year. So they provided with easy ideas of how you can make simple sacrifices, and that money can go right into your mercy jar, and then these parishes can either collect it or families can collect it and send it right in. Emily and I do it in addition to doing it out of our book. We've made the personal choice that this year we're not going to go out for coffee. So every time we're driving in the car and we really think we need a cup, we're going to make a mental note of that, and you go home and instead make our coffee, and then the next day, and then put that money right in our mercy jar. And then at the end of the month, you write a check in. We just tell everyone, you can't mail a jar of change in. We've had people try to do that because that's a great lesson to their kids, to see them literally putting the money in the mail, but the post office will not like you very much and won't let you do it.
Yeah, they won't let you do it. So this is really doable, and what a great solution to teaching children the value of money. And oftentimes kids won't even pick up a dime on the streets anymore. So this has just been really successful, and we encourage you to do that. So go ahead, moving right along. We have our second idea is soup suppers.
And this, is under Feed the Hungry and Give Drink to the Thirsty. This is something you may already have in your parish. We both do it at our parishes, and it's a great community building event and also a work of service all in one. We do them only during Lent at our parish, and they are once a week during Lent. And then what we do is we ask each organization within our parish to sponsor the event. So say music ministry, PSR, our school does a night, our youth ministry does a night, and those people that are involved in these ministries all make soup. So they make a big crock pot of soup and bring it to the parish hall, and then we all invite the whole parish to come to prayer. Either we have evening prayer or we can do Stations of the Cross. I know some parishes Emily's parish ties it in with an evening mass. Some parishes tie it in with a talk. They'll bring in a guest speaker. Sometimes they might do some kind of formal education. And then after the talk or the prayer, then they all join together for soup. So it's a nice community building event. And then we ask everyone to make a donation of what you would normally pay to go out to dinner and put that in the donation basket. Our parish is tied together with Hands Together, which is Father Tom Hagen down in Haiti. So all the money goes down to help these people in Haiti who are, extremely poor, and it's not really even a sacrifice. For me, it's one of my favorite nights of the week because I don't have to cook, and there's so many great different soups, and I get to visit with my friends, and my kids love it. And so it's a really a beautiful opportunity for people also to meet each other within the parish, and also you're highlighting your ministries. So these ministries have the opportunity, they're also going around cleaning up the bowls and that type of thing. So they meet the people, so they encourage people to join into their ministries.
I just wanted to comment too that it's for us, we do it on a Tuesday night, so Father takes off Monday, and then he has a late Mass on Tuesday night. So it gives Father a little bit of respite, and yet it builds the community. And one thing Michele and I both found is that it was a nice link between parish and school, because a lot of the school organizations came and volunteered in the parish, and we got a number of people who traditionally wouldn't go to a weekday mass or a weekday spiritual activity like this, and to come together. And so it was an evangelizing event. So that is our soup suppers.
Our third idea is under shelter the homeless, and we call these blessing bags. Now, we didn't come up with this idea, so some of you may be familiar. This is my little 4-year-old Juliana with her blessing bag she made a few weeks ago. And what these are little, well, actually big, gallon-sized Ziploc bags that you can organize to have a meetup, and then you have them filled with things like hats, gloves, snacks. You can put water, holy cards. You can have your kids make cards. And we also like to encourage you to include some numbers like for Catholic social services in there. And so these are things you can either do, keep them in your car so that you can hand them to somebody, because I know a lot of times, you pull up to that light and someone's standing there with a sign, and you can't give them cash, but you don't have anything to give them. So these are, non-perishable things you keep handy with you, and also gives them that a little bit of evangelization with just a little holy card, and just saying that you care for them, and also the numbers for your local social services.
I was telling Michelle the story the other day that we, on DivineMercyForMoms.com's website, under resources, we have a whole video series that we offer for each chapter of our book. And when we were discussing the works of mercy, we had done a video, and I had in the back seat of my car 2 mercy bags, and I was with my husband. We just ran into the grocery store, and we were loading up the groceries, and a gentleman in his 30s walked up to me, and he said, "I'm homeless. Do you have anything for me?" And I kind of giggling, and I can't believe it, and I pull out my blessing bag, and I said, "Look, I made this for you." And he started laughing. He could not believe that I had such a beautiful bag for him. And I said, "I really think Jesus wants you to have this," because I was driving my husband's car, so it was nice and cleaned out, and it was the only thing in the back seat of my car. So in it, one of the things that Michele and I realized is that oftentimes these things are right in your home. Like in the bag, that's an extra pair of gloves, extra pair of hats. So everything was just laundered. I actually found a bunch of extra socks. The kids only want a certain type of socks now. So I found the socks they weren't wearing and, put them in. But these fresh things he just was so taken back and so surprised. And so we call these blessing bags just a great opportunity to do in the parish hall, to do, as families, or however you want to organize it. And these meetups, you won't regret doing it. And if you don't feel comfortable keeping them, with yourself, you can donate them down to the local shelter or Christian organization.
Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about is visiting the sick. And we talked about this as connecting, the families in your parish with people that are homebound, parishioners, or adopting a new friend. We know that as we have young families, and a lot of times we're out of touch with the older communities in our parish, especially if someone's homebound, unless they're living right next to you. A lot of times we don't even know they're part of our community. So we've done some things at our parish that help you to reach out to meet these other families that you can connect with. And I know growing up, this has been always something part of our family's life. We've always connected with somebody who needs like a ride to our family rosary night, or a ride to church, a ride to Eucharistic adoration. We have a friend who she goes to the nursing home, and she has a young family as well, and her kids go and pick up 3 or 4 of the residents at the nursing home and bring them to their parish for Eucharistic adoration. So it's a really great gift to give to these people, that they can be part of your family, but we know that it's been such a gift to our families to get to know these people, and the gift they've offered to us with their friendship and their wisdom in your lives. One thing our school also does is called Adopt a Nun. We have a local nursing home for all the retired priests and sisters, and there's a lot more sisters actually at this home than there are priests, so that all the middle schoolers get paired up with a retired sister, and they go up like monthly and visit with them, and then they send cards to them or do little things to them. And even our daughters are in preschool, and they also have tied in with this nursing home, and they send the sisters, they make them for each of their holiday parties at school. Instead of doing some crap you're going to throw in the trash, They use all their budget to do a nicer craft, and like this for Valentine's Day, each of the students painted a special heart, and they made it into wreaths, and they sent it to the sisters of the nursing home. So these are all just simple little ideas of, tapping into the homebound from your parish and connecting them with current families.
The next is visit the imprisoned, and we have a couple ideas on this. One was the simple one of just getting to collect these cookies for Kairos. Michele and I both have encountered this. We actually go to 2 different parishes, so when we talk about our parish, we go to 2 different ones. But one of the ideas is that you bake the cookies, and then Kairos brings the cookies to the jail. And at our church, there's a gentleman that stands out there once a month or twice a month. One week he hands out the gallon bags and asks people to bring cookies back the following week, and he has a large box and he collects the cookies, and it's just a really nice way to help reach out to women who are in prison. And Michele got a nice response one time when she baked some cookies.
Yeah, my friend Kim had done a retreat with some women prisoners, and she had asked our family to bake cookies. So it was a treat for our kids because they love to be in the kitchen, and all we had to do is make cookies, and we prayed for the women while we were making the cookies, and she even came and picked the cookies right up for me, and she sent me this text afterwards, and I've always saved it because she said, "I can't tell you how much the women appreciated the cookies. They were moved to tears to think that people care about them. There were many women on the retreat who were in for murder or for other offenses that kept them in jail for so long. No one visits them or writes them, and definitely no one makes them cookies. They were overwhelmed with love." So it was just a nice touching moment of how you can really do something simple with your kids and with your families, and this is all ages of kids. Even if you've got high schoolers, they can make the cookies themselves. So this is a nice project for families, and that it's involved as you're organizing it as a parish, so it's nice that they can just easily tap right into that.
The other day I was at a women's event, and I was speaking about as Michele is the chair of the Columbus Catholic Women's Conference, and we were discussing it, and afterwards a woman came up to me and said that she goes and visits about 70 women in our local prison, women's prison, and prays the rosary with them. And she said, "I have to come every Sunday because if I don't, the women can't gather and pray." She said, but their favorite thing is to hear about the women's conference, for they long for good material, the Catholic Times, to understand what is going on. She said, because most of them have so much regret, and one bad decision or multiple bad decisions left them for a life of living in prison. But the one thing the Catholic Church does is it offers a message of mercy. It offers a message of forgiveness, and that we have to remember that we do have brothers and sisters living in jail, and they are still part of our community, because what we found is that they were listening to our women's conference, and they were so excited to hear about our speakers and what we had going on. So remembering to pray for the people in prison, making them cookies, donating extra rosaries or religious items, and seeing if you really have a person in your parish who is your point person for the prison ministry and can kind of keep you up to date on what's going on locally in that community.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about burying the dead. This is a multiple work of mercy here. Comfort the sorrowful and praying for the living and the dead, because we're going to talk about mass cards. Because most of you are probably, if you're listening to this, I'm guessing you're familiar with what a mass card is, but mass cards are when you have a mass offered in memorial or remembrance, or you can even do it, for birthdays or any celebration, you can have a mass said for someone. And this is something especially we found powerful when people have had a loss, but I've been surprised at how many people don't know that these even exist anymore. In fact, I gave a mass card just a couple of weeks ago to a friend who lost her brother, and I pulled up next to her at school the other day, and she got out of her car and she said, "I've been meaning to call you because I got that card you sent me, and I want to talk about it because I don't know what it means. Can you tell me what this is all about? I just knew it was very special." So I just explained to her that as our church, and she's Catholic, and but that we have masses said specifically, and it was being specifically offered for her brother's soul and for her family. And this was just a practice in our church. But people are so consoled by this gift. I make it, a practice to give to, as soon as, if I know anyone who has passed away, I send that to a family member. And I get thank you cards all the time, and people say to me, of all the gifts that I've received, this is one of the most consoling gifts I've received. And even if they're not Catholic, I've had people really respond to it and be very grateful for this gift of the Mass card. And so it's an important thing for us to try to teach, let people know that these are available, at your parish, or if you don't want to do it through a parish, many of the religious orders offer them. I know my brother's studying to be a Franciscan TOR, so a lot of times I'll order Mass cards through them, and I call this mercy in the mail because I don't even have to leave my house to do this. I keep the Mass cards in a little greeting card box, and I have them all sorted out by what occasion they're for, and then I pick it up when I need a Mass card, fill it out, I send the card right to the person who's lost the loved one, and then I take the other, in the intention slip, and you have to usually make a small stipend to the organization, and I put that in an envelope and mail that, and it's all set, all done. It was so simple. So this is a great thing for moms, we like to say, because sometimes it's getting out of the house to bring a meal or something like that can be overwhelming, but this is a nice practice that you don't have to go anywhere to do it. You can do it right from your home.
Also, Michele mentioned on that it's a financial benefit to the parish. As we don't want to say that's the reason why we're doing this, but in our parish we also have Novenas. Enroll in the Novena and make a donation, and know that I'm part of a Dominican parish, that the parish will be remembering this person, their intentions. So this is something that is really worth promoting. And on the last slide, Michele had P.O. Prince, and P.O. Prince offers some more modern cards, and they also offer a generic Mass card if you're looking for something that might be unique and a little more up-to-date in its presentation.
And I just have a couple quotes here about, why offer a Mass if you're not familiar with this. The grace of mutual love among the living, strengthened and increased by the sacrament of the Eucharist, flows, especially by virtue of the sacrifice of Mass, to all belong to the communion of saints. For communion of saints is simply the mutual sharing of help, atonement, prayer, and benefits among the faithful, those already in the heavenly fatherland, those consigned to the purifying fire, and those still making their pilgrim way here on earth. These all form one city, whose head is Christ and whose vital principle is love. Faith teaches that although the august sacrifice can be offered to God alone, it can nevertheless be celebrated in honor of the saints now reigning in heaven with God, who has crowned them to obtain their intercession for us, and also, according to the apostolic tradition, to wash away the stains of those brethren who died in the Lord, but without yet being wholly purified. Okay, so on to...
This is a little lighter topic.
Yes.
So these are virtue clubs. These have, Michele's parish has been very active in this, and in my parish we do a holy hour. So it's the same concept. It's an extension of your vacation Bible school, which I bet a lot of your parishes are active in the summer with doing a vacation Bible school. That's been a wonderful, trend that continues to go up every year, and it really does engage kids and parents. But what we found is moms want more. Moms don't want just faith formation, for 1 week, and due to the economy and other reasons, a lot of families are not able to send their children to Catholic schools. So these virtue clubs are just great. They're great if your kids are in school. They're great if your kids are in public school or in Catholic school, and some homeschoolers. So the idea is that they come together after the school hour and meet to learn about a virtue, discuss a saint, and have a scripture. It's the same similar format of Vacation Bible School with stations for music, crafts, games, and snacks. And it gives the older children of the school an opportunity to be a mentor, to practice service, and to really keep track of those service hours, which is an important concept for children. They do like to keep track of their service hours for college. And it gives the parents an opportunity to really engage in this idea of virtue clubs, choosing a virtue. When the virtue club runs best is when the parents break it down into different jobs, such as snack and who's going to coordinate the activity, who's going to, read up about a saint or find a speaker, and it's just been really successful.
Yeah, it's been a really fun program. We started this about 3 years ago at our parish, and each year we've kind of honed it to make it a little bit better. And we've found that really modeling it after the Vacation Bible School this year has been our best year yet. This year we did 6 months of Virtue Club. So once a month we meet after school, and we take, right off the bat, we have the kids sit down and they have pizza, so they're happy, their bellies are happy, and then we have a teaching on the virtue of the day. So sometimes it's one of the moms that gives this. Last month we had our deacon from the parish come and talk, and then we have our middle schoolers who are serving as the mentors, and they do skits about the virtues that they've created themselves, and we also have them do a skit about the saint. And then we go each from station to station and doing these fun little crafts and games and activity, like try to get some large muscle activity, get them running around, and music. They just like in Bible school, we find some upbeat music that they can sing that helps enforce the message of the day. And they really love this, and even though the big kids are supposed to be there to help, we find them all doing all the crafts and the activities and really engaging in this activity. And we're always, I'm happy if you reach out to us if you're interested in doing something like this. We keep nice notes on every month. We also get a lot of information from the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. They have Education and Virtue series, and we use their books to kind of guide us in picking which saints fit under which virtue, because they've got it already all listed out for you and a lot of nice information about the saints. And actually, I was talking with the people that run Cat Chat, because both Emily and I run our Vacation Bible Schools too. We got a little time before we have to think about those yet, though. And Cat Chat said that they are actually rolling out a program come this fall that is essentially an after-school Virtue Club program in VBS style. So it's already going to be all written for you. And we're not aware of really any program in VBS style. We've used also some of the little flower and blue nights. They have a lot of crafting and virtue information, and they do have some music involved. So that is another program that we've use some of their materials too. We've kind of found that taking bits and pieces from all these different programs has helped us come up with really the best program that works for us for our school.
I also wanted to comment that Michele was mentioning that she was doing it for what, $5 a student about,
yeah,
which is really really a great value in what you're trying to accomplish. So it can definitely be done affordably.
Yeah, and there's nice, we charge for this as an after-school, so it's not out of the parish budget. This is an after-school program, and so it's an appearance for them, an hour and a half after school for that little amount of money. It's enticing for them too.
So this is a really fun topic for us. Our next point is instruct the ignorant, and under that we have the women's conference and men's conference. And Michele, I mentioned earlier, is the co-chair of the Columbus Catholic Women's Conference. This past February, we had over 3,000 women. The following week, we had over 3,000 men attend our conference. They were able to experience the power of the Mass, which is the liturgy. 3 dynamic speakers. We had an unbelievable holy hour in leading the women closer to loving our faith through adoration. And I was kind of the vendor shopping lady. I coordinated all of the vendors and organizations that came so that women had an opportunity to leave better understanding what organizations are local that they can plug back into, or getting great, really neat faith-based jewelry or t-shirts or books. So these things, it just is probably our highlight of our year, but it's definitely a lot of work, and Michele can speak to that.
But we want to encourage you, if you have one of these in your diocese, to get involved with it, because they are really changing people's lives. And we've seen a lot of times it's easier for people to invite people to a conference than it is to invite them to Mass. So people who are maybe occasionally attendees at Mass or not even attending Mass at all will attend these events. And the best thing is we have we have about 40 priests that come to hear the sacrament of confession, and they tell us every year that they have women who come back to the sacraments after 25, 30 years. So these are really, really huge in bringing people back into their faith, and then, to tap them back in at their parish level. And if you're kind of wondering, like, well, how does this have to do with me? But I want to share that this was started out of just one parish, our women's conference. We had one, it was actually even one just women's Bible study group, and there had been a men's conference in our diocese for 10 years and nothing for the women, so they felt compelled to start this women's conference, and they started it in a parish with almost exclusively women from this one parish that volunteered for the first conference. And then it had 1,000 people for the very first women's conference here in our diocese. So this is something, if you don't have one in your diocese, that you can do out of your very own parish. And it doesn't have to be huge to start with. Some conferences may start with a couple hundred, but I run a Facebook group. I'll put it up. This is a picture here of our last year conference with 3,000 people attending. So you can see this is kind of a massive event. But
hold on, I just want to comment real quick. If you notice, we have these really cool stained glass windows with the black piping they made it look like a church. And you can't really see with the angle, but there's a beautiful crucifix, the altar. And this is down at the Expo Center. This building was used for animals during the Ohio State Fair. So if you've ever been to our Ohio State Fair and gone to the Voinovich buildings, and they just transformed it. It was unbelievable. It is such an awesome experience to be a part of bringing forth these conferences. And really the trend is that people want it. It's growing.
So you can always check out our Columbus Catholic Women's website for ideas, and also I have run a Facebook group for women that run conferences. So a lot of conference planners from across the United States that are on this, and it's nice to network. So either if you are involved in a conference or you're looking to start one, this is a great place to tap in and to get some help and some feedback. Everybody's really wonderful and wants you to have these in your diocese. So it's a great gift to everybody in your diocese. So we highly encourage, doing that.
I just also wanted to comment that what fuels our men's and women's conference are a lot of things, but one of the key things is our Catholic radio. So we have linked up and held hands with Catholic radio, and they are willing to broadcast our awesome men's conference and women's conference. And it has really been a great tool of evangelization, because for a lot of people, they might be, at a basketball tournament, or they couldn't get there because they were at a swim team competition. Your families are busy, which I think you know that in parish life, but this is a great way that they can hear it, understand what it's about, and then the following year hopefully get it on their calendar.
Okay, so next we're going to touch on counseling the doubtful, and this is starting or supporting men's and women's faith sharing groups, moms group, men's groups, or even groups for younger families. Hopefully you have something like these in your parishes, but I know until really this year we didn't have any of these in my parish. We had one faith sharing group we'd meet for Lent and one we'd meet for Advent, and it was mainly older people. I was probably the only person under 65 that attended. So recently we started for the men, That Man Is You program, which is a really strong program to encourage men in their faith, and then we've also started some women's programming. And this is where we like to talk about our book, Divine Mercies for Moms, is a great group study for moms. When we wrote our book, Emily and I have done over 10 years of different faith-sharing groups. We really started it out of our conferences. After the first conference, Emily's sister-in-law actually felt called to start a faith-sharing group right in her home. So 10 years ago, we started with a small women's Bible study, and we've done pretty much everyone that's out there. And so when we were writing Divine Mercy for Moms, we took the best of what everybody offered us, what we really liked, what really worked for moms, and put it together in our book. So the nice thing about Divine Mercy for Moms is everything's included within the book. So you get the book, and that is all the reading material, and in the back is all the study questions. And then right online on our website, divinemercyformoms.com, are videos, and they're free to stream, because I know we've done some programs, and then you get a bill for like $70 for this little program for 6 weeks, and you kind of feel like, gosh, that's a lot of money, and you don't want to not encourage anyone to do it because of money. So we've made this super, super affordable for everyone, and we've been trialing it in moms of all different ages and stages, and everybody has really loved it, been appreciative. We started before the book was published back in November. We piloted it with 20 moms across our diocese, and now all of them have taken and started their own studies. So it's really been a nice little chain reaction, and some of the things people have really said is they've been faithfully watching the videos and reading the book, and they felt that this is the best study that they've yet to do. And it was great for community building because people really had the opportunity with the study questions that they weren't too deep that they were embarrassed to answer, but they were enough substance that they were able to connect with other moms. And it also was a calling forth to doing works of mercy, which ties in, because we only have 3 minutes left so we can get some questions, is our last thing, which is a combination of all the Works of Mercy and starting a Works of Mercy Club.
So the Works of Mercy Club is a great extension of Divine Mercy for Moms doing that book, or any type of book. And that's the idea, is that families coming together to do a work of mercy each month. And the idea is that you're just going to work through those 14 works of mercy and decide what works best for the people in which are part of this group. One of the resources that we love is That You Did It to Me by Father Michael Gately. And I tease Michele because I remember when she read that book for the first time, she started really becoming active in practicing deliberately the works of mercy. Because once you kind of get that on your radar, that you're going to be deliberate about what you do in practicing these works of mercy, it really changes a lot of the things that burn us out as people. And I think for a lot of people in the webinar that you're being paid to do wonderful deeds, and that is awesome, and you're serving your church, but you also can receive such spiritual benefits by planning these type of activities and bringing people together and counseling the doubtful, and really even just making cards for encouraging people, deciding what in your local area is needed. So we have some great resources for you that we wanted to just share with you, and that's, first of all, okay, here we are. We have free downloads on Divine Mercy for Moms, and we wanted to make it really easy. So we took the corporal and spiritual works of mercy and we made them for busy moms and, of course, for busy dads. This could be a bulletin insert, or we encourage people to put them right near, to tape them right near your garage door or your back door, so you realize that you're going to practice these works of mercy both inside your home and outside your home. And we also have these corporal works of mercy and spiritual works of mercy examination of conscience guide. So these are really cool. These kind of go deeper, and they make for great table conversation pieces. Someone told me that they kind of cut it up, and one of the kids pulls it out, and that's what they choose to talk about at the dinner table on their Sunday night dinner for a few minutes. So these are some free, helpful resources.
And this is a picture of the Corporal Works of Mercy checklist for busy moms. So that's what they look like, and they were done by the great staff at Ave Maria Press. Some people have put them in their cry room at their parishes or at their preschool rooms. You can hang them, really anywhere. It's a nice little reminder of what these works of mercy are. And you can print them, you can share them, they're totally free. They look really great in color if you have that opportunity. I know, like Emily said, some people have asked us, a lot of people contact us and say, can I copy these for my whole parish? I'm speaking at an event, can I hand these out? And absolutely, they're meant to help people, so that's what they're designed for.
And they look nice when you print them in that glossy print. I mean, they look really professional. Some people have even framed them. They love them so much. And at the bottom, you can see a copy or a cover of our book, so you kind of can visualize what what our book looks like.
So perfect, 3:50, right on time. So we thank you for joining us. This is our picture. Sorry, since we didn't have the webcam, you can see what we look like, and we're happy to take your questions.
I'm Emily. I'm in the orange.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you both for the presentation, the great ideas. I've got questions. I know others will have questions as well, and other people have already added their comments and a few clarification questions. I'll take controls over back to my screen just so you don't have to worry about people following along, and then you can focus on the questions here. All right. Good. So there you can see in your screen there the place where you can ask questions. I see a few people have already jumped in, so let's get at them already. I've got people already saying, fantastic, thank you, awesome ideas. Um, we'll start with Marcy, who's saying she really likes the Virtue Club idea, something that you can use at all times, not just during the Year of Mercy. I think you're absolutely right, Marcy. And do you guys change it up every year, or do you just kind of try new things every year as far as the themes and focus?
Yeah, we have done, we've tried each year to do new virtues and new saints. A couple of saints we've brought back, like, Saint Therese of Lisieux, how can you not love her? So I know over 3 years we've done her twice, and this last year we actually made really cool Saint Therese homemade snow globes, because Saint Therese loved the snow, and they have that beautiful story of her clothing day where she wanted to have snow, and even though it was mild, God granted her that wish. So we come up with unique crafts too for each month. So we haven't really, a few saints we've repeated, but we try to do fresh virtue and saint. But we'll run out soon. We'll have to start over.
I was telling Michelle that you got to find the Pinterest mom who, one person just coordinating those cool crafts, because some people really just absolutely love it. And Michelle's one of those people, because every time I come to her house, she's got another really neat craft.
Yeah, we found some moms at our parish that are their children are grown, so this is their gift back to the parish as they come up with the crafts for me. So.
Thanks. So we have some more positive feedback here. Mark's saying you have provided an integrated vision for families engaged in the life of the whole church by starting right in your own domestic church and then connecting with other families in the whole diocese. Thanks again. And so kudos to you, Michele and Emily. So one of the questions we have in a couple places is just about the amazing ideas he provided. Would you two be open to sharing the slides or a printout of the slides with all the links and the ideas with the group afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. You can have them.
Okay. All right. So feel free. We can talk about that afterwards more, but we'll make sure that it's linked up in the when we send the recording out tomorrow.
Perfect.
Good. Janan says, what are ways in which you've invited parish members to participate or lead one of your groups?
Well, I think the best way is you got to just ask the moms, like, I need help, right? Like, I'm doing this project, and can you help me? And sometimes you got to bring them in on an easy level. Maybe they're going to help you. Like, my friend helped me with registration for Bible school, and this was like a 20-minute commitment for Bible school. So she had to be there 20 minutes early, get the kids checked in, and then she could leave. But she had not been involved, she told me, for a long time because her kids were little. She was very involved in the church, then had kids, and like totally pulled back. So by doing this simple little thing, she felt tapped in, and now she's leading our moms group. So I think by tapping people on the shoulder and asking them, and that's the same way with we found with our conference. Tapping people on the shoulder, say, can you help me with this one specific small job? And then they kind of they find they're fed by that by serving, and then they want to do more.
I think people are actually honored when you ask for help, and Jared and I were speaking right before this webinar, and that we want to use technology. Technology is wonderful. We're happy to share our slides and post on Facebook, but sometimes we don't really know who we're actually connecting with. So combining using the bulletin, using maybe setting up a Facebook private group for the people in your school, or whatever resources you are with technology, but remembering that inviting people is really important, and one of those first things is figuring out exactly what jobs you're looking for. And as a busy moms, my oldest two are in high school, I want to know what I'm signing up for. Is it Gatorade for the football team? How many people? Okay, I can do that. Versus making cookies for the whole football team or whatever. Like, being very specific about what you want. And I think you're going to find that especially parishioners are going to really step forward and help, especially when it's a great thing like a virtue club or a conference, or something that has a specific event associated to it.
And don't forget to ask those people, even if they don't have kids, a lot of them have been really willing to step back into the scene now that their kids are grown and help in a different type of capacity. But like I said, these women want to do the crafts. Some of them will come back and teach for Bible school, because that's one of the harder things, is that teaching piece. So a lot of times you can tap into people whose families have already grown, and then a lot of times they'll bring their high school, college age kids back to help you too.
Thank you so much. I love. I'm just looking at the ideas you shared, and they're all so creative. And I would just challenge the anybody listening in. If you're working in a parish or volunteering in a parish, just pick one of them for this year of mercy, and just get a ministry behind it, whether it's a youth ministry, whether it's some kind of adult faith formation group or moms group, just to pick one. And just looking at some of the ones that you had here, the cookies for Kairos, the simple thing with the mass cards, that's something anybody can do. And as you said, it's mercy in the mail. You can do it from home. You don't have to worry about going out and doing all this any extra work, really, just in, thinking of people and making an effort. The blessing bags, what a creative way. I just ran into, we see people who are homeless all the time, but to actually have something and to be a witness for your family, to be able to share, give something to them is just a wonderful, wonderful way to live out the year of mercy. So thank you both so much. We have Cynthia who just jumped in and saying, can you tell me again your website and where to find the those downloads, the spiritual and corporal works of mercy checklists?
Now it's www.divinemercyformoms.com. And if you go under the recommended resources, actually there's a big slider for the Corporal Works of Mercy for Busy Moms right on the front page. You can click right on that. And if you go under our recommended resources, we have actually all the resources we listed in the book listed on there as well, and they're just a click away. So if you want to know about Kairos, you just click on Kairos. If you want to, click on mass cards, we've got information on mass cards. It's all under our recommended resources tab for you.
And you definitely can find us there. Send us an email, and we're happy to respond to any of your questions. Because really, part of this year mercy, like we started this conference or started this talk about, tenderly meeting people where they're at, and I think you're just going to be really excited about the results by starting just one, like you said, just one of these ideas.
Good, thanks. So divinemercyformoms.com/recommended resources has tons and tons of resources, including the ones that the presenters have talked about today. So check that out, and also the book as well. Just before we finish up, I want to, as always, offer a discount for anybody who's interested in purchasing the book, Divine Mercy for Moms, sharing the lessons of St. Faustina, especially during this year of mercy. It's a wonderful resource. If you have any moms groups in your parish, you can get the discount here, 20% off with code webinar315. So if you go to the Ave Maria Press website, not Amazon or other places, although of course you can find them there as well, find it there as well. But webinar315 to get 20% off Divine Mercy for Moms. So Emily, Michele, thanks again for presenting and sharing these ideas and giving. I can't tell you how many people are jumping in and saying thank you and loving the wonderful ideas. So great work.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. What a joy.
Okay, well, before we go, I just want to say once again thank you to the partners in the webinar series, the National Conference for Catechetical Leadership, the National Association for Lay Ministry, and the National Federation of Priest Councils. As I said before, the webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted to YouTube hopefully tonight and definitely by tomorrow morning. You can find this and all the recordings at avemariapress.com/webinar-videos, and we'll email you later on this week with a link to the recordings. Before we go, I want to invite you to the next webinar. So we'll take a little bit of break for Holy Week and Easter, and then we'll come back again on April 5th, 2016. The Wedding Banquet, inviting couples to experience divine love by Carrie Santos. She'll be offering a webinar for pastors, for marriage preparation coordinators, marriage enrichment leaders, anyone involved in marriage and engaged couples, with marriage engaged couples, and how to invite couples to experience divine love in your ministries. So that's at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on April 5th, 2016. So thanks, everybody. I hope you all have a great Holy Week next week and great Easter, and hopefully get a little time off before we come back again in April. God bless. Michele and Emily, thanks again. This was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.